Have you ever wondered why two nonprofits can apply for the same grant, serve similar communities, and have equally powerful missions, yet one gets funded and the other gets rejected? Most people think the answer is experience. Others think it's connections, and some believe it's simply luck. But what if I told you none of those are the real reason? Today, I want to share a concept that has transformed the way nonprofits think about funding. It's called the Grant Readiness Score, and it begins with one simple question. If a funder offered your organization $100,000 tomorrow, would your financial records be ready today? Think about that question for a moment. Not next month, not after your accountant catches up, not after your board meeting, not after someone spends 3 days organizing receipts. Today, could your organization immediately provide accurate financial statements, current grant reports, documentation for restricted funds, cash flow projections, compliance records? Because when a funding opportunity appears, funders don't wait for organizations to get ready. They expect organizations to already be ready. This is one of the most frustrating realities in the nonprofit sector. I've seen organizations doing incredible work, changing lives, supporting families, strengthening communities, creating real impact. Yet they continue hearing the same response. Unfortunately, we are unable to support your application at this time. Again and again and again. The heartbreaking part? Many of those organizations genuinely deserve funding. The problem isn't their mission. The problem isn't their passion. And often, the problem isn't even the grant proposal. The problem is what sits behind the proposal, their financial systems. Here's something most nonprofit leaders never hear. Funders often decide whether they trust your organization before they finish reading your application. Let that sink in. Before they evaluate outcomes, before they review your success stories, before they analyze your impact metrics, they're asking themselves one critical question. Can this organization responsibly manage our money? Because grants are not simply investments in missions, they're investments in trust. And trust is built through financial transparency. A few years ago, I worked with a nonprofit that was making a tremendous difference. Their programs were excellent, their volunteers were committed, their leadership team was passionate. Everything looked good from the outside, yet they couldn't secure major funding. At first, they thought they needed a better grant writer, so they hired one. Nothing changed. Then they thought they needed stronger programming. They invested more time and resources. Still nothing changed. Eventually, we discovered the real issue. Their bookkeeping was months behind. Grant expenses weren't properly tracked. Board reports were inconsistent. Restricted funds lacked documentation. The mission was strong, but the financial foundation was weak. That experience inspired what I now call the Grant Readiness Score time, a framework designed to measure how prepared a nonprofit is to receive, manage, track, and report funding. Because funders don't invest in hope alone, they invest in confidence, and confidence comes from systems. The Grant Readiness Score time is built around 5 pillars, 5 areas that determine whether funders see your organization as a low-risk investment. Let's explore each one. The first pillar is financial accuracy. This sounds obvious, but it is one of the most common weaknesses in nonprofit organizations. Funders expect your numbers to support your story. If financial statements are outdated, incomplete, or inconsistent, trust begins to disappear. Think about it this way. Would you invest $100,000 into an organization whose records were 6 months behind? Probably not. Funders feel exactly the same way. Financial accuracy isn't just accounting, it's credibility. The second pillar is fund tracking. Every grant dollar has a purpose. Every funder expects accountability, and every dollar should be traceable. The strongest nonprofits can answer questions immediately. Where did the money go? Which expenses were covered? How much remains? What outcomes were achieved? Not next week, not after searching spreadsheets. Immediately. That's what funders want to see. The third pillar is board confidence. Many people think grants are won by executive directors. In reality, strong governance plays a major role. Funders want to know leadership understands the financial health of the organization. They want evidence of oversight, accountability, and informed decision-making. A confident board creates confidence in funders. A disconnected board creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates risk. The fourth pillar is cash flow visibility. This is where many nonprofits get surprised. You can have grants, you can have donations, you can even have a balanced budget and still struggle financially. Why? Because cash flow tells a different story. Grant-ready organizations know exactly where they stand, what is coming in, what is going out, and when. They don't react to financial surprises, they anticipate them. And funders appreciate organizations that plan ahead. The fifth pillar is compliance readiness, and this is often the most overlooked. Many organizations think compliance matters only during an audit, but that's backwards. Compliance matters every day. Every receipt, every transaction, every grant allocation, every financial report. Organizations that consistently receive funding aren't scrambling before audits. They're maintaining compliance all year long. That's what builds trust. Let's bring everything together. The Grant Readiness Score is built on financial accuracy, fund tracking, board confidence, cash flow visibility, and compliance readiness. When these 5 areas are strong, funders feel confident, and when confidence increases, funding opportunities increase. Now, I'd like you to evaluate your own organization. How would you score yourself in each area? Financial accuracy, fund tracking, board confidence, cash flow visibility, compliance readiness. Be honest, because awareness is the first step towards improvement. The good news is that grant readiness can be improved. Month 1, clean up and organize financial records. Month 2, strengthen reporting systems. Month 3, review compliance and fund tracking processes. Small improvements, made consistently, create significant results over time. Let's return to where we began. If a funder offered your organization $100,000 tomorrow, would your financial records be ready today? If the answer is not an immediate yes, then your grant readiness score has room to improve, and every improvement you make today increases your chances of securing funding tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, funders don't just fund missions, they fund organizations they trust, and trust starts with your numbers. Before we finish, I want to leave you with one final thought. Grant readiness is not about being perfect, it's about being prepared. Because funding opportunities don't always give you time to get ready. Sometimes the call comes unexpectedly. Sometimes the grant application deadline is only weeks away. And sometimes the difference between receiving funding and losing funding comes down to one thing: whether your financial records inspire confidence. If your organization is struggling with bookkeeping, if grant tracking feels overwhelming, if your board needs clearer financial reports, or if you're simply unsure whether your nonprofit is truly grant ready, you don't have to figure it out alone. our bookkeeping services, we specialize in helping nonprofits build strong financial foundations that funders trust. From bookkeeping and grant tracking to financial reporting, compliance, and CRA requirements, we help organizations become funding ready year-round. If you'd like a complimentary grant readiness discussion about your organization's financial systems, I'd be happy to speak with you. Call 289-499-7663. Let's talk about where your organization is today and what it will take to become truly grant ready for tomorrow's opportunities. Because your mission deserves funding, and funding starts with trust. Thank you, and I look forward to connecting with you.